Hi everyone, this is a new series we're trying. This is the question and answer series.
Yay!
I don't know what we're gonna call it actually.
Yeah,
what should we call it, Matthew?
Let's call it The Big Interview with Matthew and his friend Chris, starring Matthew and Chris from Brawl in the Family, that webcomic that you love so much, or loved is the better word because it died.
That's gonna be kind of a long acronym, but I think we can make it work.
We can make it work.
Yeah.
It's a good
All
title.
right.
Titles are my thing.
So this time we're going to be talking about this fantastic new game that was released on the Wii U and on Steam. I'm sure you've all played it actually, and if you haven't, what are you waiting for? I don't know why you haven't played it yet. It's like an excellent game.
Thanks.
It's called Tadpole Treble.
Oh yeah, thanks. Tadpole Treble.
Gonna...
They released a game. Yeah, I was kind of 60% waiting for that bait and switch thing. I was waiting for that hashtag F.
That would have been funnier.
F#. I think our reader said F#.
Funnier.
Oh, it's okay. You know, an E# is an F. Like, and an FE is not a note really. Like,
yeah, that's that. But yeah, Matthew, you made a game.
I did.
That's
Holy
pretty
cow.
awesome, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah.
How does it feel to have made a game that's on a Nintendo system?
Feels good, Chris. I've always wanted to make a game. You know, I had a bunch of drawings when I was a kid of like Zelda dungeons and stuff, and Mario levels, and you know they weren't very good, but that's what I did. I drew up these kind of Nintendo like sequels. You know, here's Mario with dinosaurs, and here's Link, and he's in the future. You know, and so it's good to finally be able to flex my creative muscles a little bit and put something on a Nintendo system in this case.
Yeah, it's Tadpole Treble. So where'd you get the idea to make a game about tadpoles, for one thing?
Well, the tadpoles came kind of right after the core premise, which started from me watching my dad work in Finale, which is a music composition software, and he would write the notes and then do the playback thing, and the little line would go across, and it would play the notes, and that auto-scrolling kind of reminded me of like side-scrollers, like how in Mario 3 you had level 1-4 with the and you were kind of floating above, and you had to move at a specific pace. I thought that would be cool if you had a level like that, but the notes were your obstacles, and they kind of played the background music as you went through the level. Yeah. So I came up with that idea first, and I thought, okay, if you're dodging the notes, you need to be sort of like, you can't be bound by gravity. Otherwise, you're just kind of always jumping over specific notes. It'd be better if you're like flying. So eventually I came around to having it underwater, and I guess I picked tadpoles because there's not that many of them, like in media, You get a lot of frogs, but not many tadpoles. I can't really think of any famous tadpoles besides, like, I don't know, does Mallow count? I don't think he is a tadpole. Or was he?
I don't think
or
he
was
is.
he?
Ooh.
No, he was.
He's a cloud-shaped tadpole.
He was a cloud guy. Yeah. So, I mean, see, there you go. We can't think of any tadpoles. So, I just kind of got fixated on that element. And that's kind of how the premise was born. That was like in 2000, too. That was a while ago. I came up with that. I was a kid. Child.
Golly.
That's right. And you know what? You helped me with like the very first like prototype of Tadpole Treble with Batanos like spinning and shooting bullets.
Yeah, because
the game went through some changes. So
yeah, it started off a little funky.
It was pretty sweet though. I mean, she hasn't shot bullets since then. So I mean, maybe that could have been an upgrade. She just guns down everything in Opus Island.
So can you describe the difference between developing a game for Steam and developing a game for the Wii U?
Yeah, we developed this in the software program Unity, and that ran pretty smooth. That runs smoothly on most people's computers and stuff. So making it for Steam, that was kind of the main build, was the PC build, and then Steam is just kind of a platform where you can play PC and Mac games. So it was actually not very hard at all to develop it for Steam. We did have to. I should say relatively not hard to develop for Steam specifically. We did have a few things that we had to make specifically for the Steam platform, like trading cards and just visual elements that you can unlock outside of the game. Achievements were one, but for the most part, we didn't really have to alter the PC build to make it work. Now, for the Wii U version, that was trickier because Nintendo's got these pretty tight guidelines where you have to send a game through something called lot check, which means once you finish the game, you send it off to Nintendo's testing department in Nintendo of America, and they will hang on to the game for 2 to 3 weeks, play through it, play the heck out of it, and if they find any game-breaking bugs or just syntax errors, like for instance, let's say I say Wii U with a hyphen instead of with a space in the manual, they will send it back, and then you have to fix that error and send it back in, and you go through the whole lot check process again, which takes another 2 to 3 weeks. Now this took a while because whenever we would fix a bug, sometimes with programming you fix something and it makes all these other bugs come up, and it's crazy. It's like you'll squish two things and one will pop up. It's like the 2 steps forward, 1 step back thing. So we really had to be on top of it. It went through several lot checks, but finally we got approved, and that's kind of why the Wii U version took longer, even though both versions were technically feature complete at the same time. So yeah,
Gotcha.
It was a little more difficult making it for the Wii U.
And have you added a few things since that happened? You had a patch that came out?
Yeah, we actually had a Steam patch that made a few changes to just some balance changes and added the achievements. And the Wii U version has, I think, most of those changes already in it because it came out later.
Gotcha.
It doesn't have the achievements. That's kind of a Steam thing. But yeah, we're actually looking into making a second patch for the Wii U, but we kind of have to check with our programmer for that and see if it's feasible first. So
Gotcha.
Stay tuned.
Did anything change midway through development of the game? Something where you were initially planning on a certain feature or doing something one way, and then you had to change completely how you were handling it?
We changed a few levels around. One that comes to mind was called Eel's Belly. After you beat Barracuda Caverns, there was kind of a scene where Baton is relieved that she escaped the Barracuda, and then all of a sudden an eel comes out of nowhere and just swallows her whole. So then you actually swim through the eel's innards, and I don't know if you get pooped out or if you get coughed out or whatever, but you make your way out of there. That was originally going to be level 7, and I think somewhere along the development process we came up with Chiptune Lagoon. I had actually written up all the levels on a document really early on, and we stuck to almost all of those, except we came up with Chiptune Lagoon later, and we liked it so much that we decided we need to take out one of these other levels. And since Eel's Belly was the least developed at the time, it didn't have a song with it, we didn't have any actual visuals for it, that was the one that got cut. We also made a pretty big change to Midnight Bayou, which was originally going to be a song called Escargot in Love, which is going to have some snails singing about being in love, and it was kind of a 50s sock hop song, like a shoo ba 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 da doo doo ba ba boo a doo boo ba 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 doo doo escargot in love. It's gonna be kind of like one of those things, and I initially changed that because we wanted it to be a little bit more about Baton herself, instead of about the snails, and that's where Sonata came from, and that was actually one of our last levels that we had had put into the game because it went through those changes.
Is it not a little creepy for this other guy to be hitting on her? she's like a day old or something.
Well, our bestiary actually says that Sonata was literally born yesterday. So, if anything, let's see. He's only 1 day older than her. Well, actually, if you look at it another way, he's twice her age. So maybe it is a little creepy. Whoa. Yeah, Sonata. He definitely wanted. I wanted him to be our Frank Sinatra meets Pepe Le Pew kind of character. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's pretty forward for such a young tadpole.
Yeah, I was taken quite aback. I'm like, wow, he's developed these crooning skills at a very early stage in life.
Yeah. Well, we say repeatedly in the game that tadpoles have an innate sense of rhythm. So.
Okay. They're just born with it.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It's just part of the world, I guess.
Yeah. Since you mentioned Super Mario RPG earlier, it kind of gels with that because the tadpoles in that game are all about music too.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a subconscious thing or what, but actually, people have brought that up before, and the area where Super Mario RPG actually inspired the game more than that was with Midas River when you're going down the waterfalls.
Yeah.
And it's bloop, 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 you're going in the thing. There were these segments in the Midas River part where you go into these caverns, and Mario he just kind of goes on autopilot. He's kind of flowing through the river in these caverns, and you see all these enemies from the game, interacting in various ways. They're like stabbing each other with
Yeah.
forks and stuff, or they're fighting over a flower, and at the end Mario gets the flower, And I thought these sequences are really cool, even though they weren't really, gameplay driven. They added a lot of charm to the game. They made it kind of feel like you're going through Splash Mountain or something.
Yeah,
Which was
yeah.
another big influence for our game was Splash Mountain specifically, and more generally all those Disney rides, where you see all this stuff going on outside of the world you're in. So
Yeah.
that was kind of a big part of the goal of this game from the beginning, was to give it that sort of Disney-ish feel, and kind of also incorporate those elements into the gameplay too.
Is there anything else you'd consider an influence or an inspiration for the game?
I think specific music styles and levels. I think we'd often look at particular games for that kind of thing. Like Chiptune Lagoon, I listened to a lot of Mega Man in particular because I wanted something 8-bit but also very driving. Let's think of some other ones. Snowfall Lake was definitely heavily inspired by Banjo-Kazooie. The music in particular was very much, built after like the kind of thing that Grant Kirkhope does.
Yeah, I remember kicking that around with you when you were first writing it.
Yeah. And we actually, to sort of complete that whole homage, we put in the ice key from Banjo-Kazooie in that level in the background for one of the caverns. You could actually see it.
Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, that's a cool touch.
Yeah, it's
Very
a little
cool.
Easter egg. Speaking of Easter eggs, though, there were a couple others I want to point out. For
Okay.
players that have played the game, but they might not have seen these. One of them is in Etude's, Bullfrog Grove. Just try waiting on the screen. Just leave it there on his shop screen, and don't touch anything, and just let it go and see what happens. Prepare to be amazed. Another one is the pause menu song, which we have about, I think it's a 1 out of 20 chance of playing whenever you pause the game. So be on the lookout for that, or keep an ear out for that. And let me see. Oh, there's a big one in Thunder Creek. There's a weird picture of me and Michael, but you'll have to decide. You have to figure out how to unlock that yourself, I guess.
So what did you learn about game development going through this process? I know that you've always wanted to be a game developer, but there's definitely a difference between, writing in notebooks and drawing pictures and thinking, oh, this would be such a cool game. There's a big difference between that and actually doing the work of making it happen. So what did you learn through the process that you didn't expect, or that was a pleasant surprise even?
Yeah. Well, game development, first and foremost, is extremely difficult. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and there's a lot of work that goes into making the game that you envision, Like you could see it in your head, and then you could put it in code, or have one of your programmers do it. And when you play it, it's like, oh, this is just not coming together at all. And we had several moments like that for Tadpole Treble. It was kind of a long process before it really got to the point where we were happy with how I was playing. And I think that's one of the things that surprised me the most. Like, we had, paid some freelance programmers initially to make a very early demo of the game for the first level. And it was just almost unplayable. The camera was way too close to Baton. She was moving way too fast, like Sonic the Hedgehog speeds. And it was way too difficult. Like, I still haven't beaten it to this day. That initial demo of level 1. It was a good learning experience, because it kind of taught us, like, mechanics that we hadn't kept in mind, like where the camera should be, how small Baton should be, how fast the game should be scrolling, how many environmental, features should be hazards for Baton versus just background features, how much life you should have, things like that we really didn't give thought to, that we really had to go in and refine over and over again. Same with the controls. We had to refine those over and over again to make them to the point where we were happy with them. So that's one of the big elements that stands out to me when I think back on the game development. Just how much you kind of take for granted when you think of the game idea versus the reality of it, and how much you have to go in and fine-tune things over and over to get them to that point.
So what's next for your game development and the ambitions of BitFinity? Do you have another project you're going to work on, or you tell me?
Well, right now I'm doing the music for a couple other games. Not my game specifically, but a couple other teams that are in the Level Up Lab. Starblade is doing Nefarious, and that's the game where you play as the bad guy who's kidnapping the princesses. I'm doing the music for that. And King Crow Studios is working on a game called Quest of Souls, and that's kind of a top-down shooter / RPG that I'm doing the music for as well. Although they didn't hit their goal for Kickstarter, so right now they're working on a sort of side game based on the Quest of Souls universe called Necroball. That's going to be an online, it's online. It's going to be an online sort of zombie soccer game, and I've played early demos of it, and it's a lot of fun. I think they're actually about to release kind of an early access version of it on Steam pretty soon, so you'll be able to hear my music in that. But as for BitFinity itself, my brother and I are thinking of doing another game that I've tried not to talk too much about it yet, but I'm thinking of doing like kind of an action adventure 2D side scroller game, but we're not 100% sure yet what the whole development process like is going to be like for that. So we're kind of still looking into how feasible that is. So hopefully we can make that happen, and if we do, we'd like to have it on the NX.
All right. Well, congratulations, Matthew, for putting in all this work and actually releasing a game. Like, that's really cool.
Thanks, Chris.
I think the game's really fun. There's so much love that was poured into this game that you can't help but appreciate that. So, everyone out there, the link, you'll see some links down in the box below. I highly recommend you to go check it out and give it a whirl. Yeah,
we're actually really surprised at the feedback we've gotten so far. We've gotten all positive reviews on Steam, and on Metacritic we're at a 90 right now. So We've gotten a lot of high reviews that I'm really excited to see. So I'm just glad people are enjoying it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. We'd like to make this question and answer series kind of a regular thing. So if you have any questions that you want to ask Matthew or myself, but probably Matthew, about anything we've discussed in this episode or really anything in general, just post them in the comments on this video, and we'll make another video in a while, like a month from now, that has responses, and maybe we'll keep that going, and maybe we'll have a certain topic here or there that we'll ask for questions on. But for the next time, we'll just do general questions. So give us some good ones.
All right, thanks for listening, guys.
All right, smell you later.
Smell you flip side.